to the world of chiropractic, where we take one epic journey around the world as we explore the 7 regions of the World Federation of Chiropractic. My name is Dr. Rebecca Wilkes, and I invite you to travel with me as we go on this exciting adventure around the globe. Good evening, Dr. McDonald. Welcome to the world of chiropractic. We very much appreciate having you on the show today. And let's just go ahead and dive right in.
Okie doke.
You graduated from Logan in 1982 and began a practice in Montana for 8 years. Can you tell us a little bit about practicing in Montana?
Well, I grew up in Montana, and Montana is a large state. It's the 4th largest state in the Union, and there are significantly more cattle than there are people. So even today, there's about 750,000 people in a very large state. So it's rural, most of it. When I graduated, I didn't really have any money, so I knew that if I went to a small community, that I would have patients. Marketing in a small community is walking down the street, right? So I moved to a town called Eureka, Montana, up on the Canadian border. The town itself had 1,200 people, but the catchment was about 3,000 people, which is small. It's very nice. It's a laid back, colder than the Dickens in the winter, beautiful, very isolated. Eureka is maybe 60 miles to the nearest hospital on a 2-lane highway that's never good in either direction. So healthcare up there is pretty isolated, as is everything. And and of course, there was no internet or ways of doing things. So I set up practice there. I developed a relationship with a local physician and took his x-rays because I had a new x-ray machine. And eventually, after about 5 years, it was really rewarding, and I really liked it, but it was a little repetitive and pretty isolated. And I wanted more education. I wanted access to more things that I just couldn't get. So I was thinking I was going to do something else when I'd been working with a neurologist, Steve Martini, in Kalispell, Montana. Another famous city. That in the kind of the Montana way, that led to beer, and ultimately deciding that we should have him come up to my office one day a week and save the patients with neurological deficits. We started that, and it just progressively kind of grew. I was pretty involved in rehab to the extent that I could know. And so we built a small addition onto our facility, and the hospital in Kalispell gave us Cybex units, a whole suite. So we worked with that, and then they started sending a physical therapist up once a week. We had a therapist, mental health therapist from the Flathead that we knew, who came up once a week. When we got together, we thought, wow, we're cool. We're going to call state workman's compensation and tell them that, hey, we got a medical doctor, neurologist, a chiropractor. They said, fine, we're only going to pay one of you. So we resolved that. They ended up paying us both. They didn't think we were as cool as we did. And it was quite a while back. The idea of integration was relatively novel. And we did that for about another 3 years or so. And then to get more education, I had to move.
Where did this move take place to?
To Davenport, Iowa. I thought that was about the biggest city I could handle after living back in Montana. So
that's pretty populated in comparison.
It is, yeah, So actually it was for us. But I went to work at Palmer. I naively thought, well, they've got colleges and universities all around me. I can get any degree I want. But I was able to get my diplomate program, and my diplomate became a founding member of the ACA's Diplomat Council, and taught a lot of rehab, introduced, in a sense, or reintroduced to Palmer the concept of therapeutic exercise, Uh, and we built up a pretty going concern. That led to ultimately my becoming the dean of the chiropractic college there. I thought to myself, well, I really don't understand systems because these guys don't do anything the way I do it. So I got an MBA, and I did learn that a lot of systems were broken. I started thinking that I wanted to get more education. So I chose law school. And Palmer transitioned their president, their provost, their leadership team, which gave me the opportunity to go to law school. The law degree really doesn't prepare you for the law, and they beat you to death with this. It makes you a very good critical thinker, or at least a much better critical thinker than you were when you went in. And it, to a significant extent, takes the emotion out of what you're trying to decide. Right? You just need to get the data, the facts. You need to review them, and then if you need to take a position one way or the other, you have to use those facts to your favor. When I was there, I got a certificate in alternative dispute resolution, mostly negotiation and arbitration, those kinds of things, and mediation. And that helped a lot too, because you learned how to constructively, or more constructively, get people to where you wanted them to be. And you helped them take the emotion out of their issues. Concurrently, my wife is a mental health therapist, with a degree in social work, and the type of therapy that she does is called strength-based therapy. And so naturally, I've gotten a lot of very good advice over the years from her, but the most important one is playing to people's strengths. And allowing people to play to their strengths. So those things, in big ways, really informed me about how to lead or manage an organization. When I finished at Valpo, I went to New York and became the vice president of academic affairs at New York Chiropractic College in Seneca Falls. Just a really nice school with great people. After about 5 years, Palmer hired me back as a vice chancellor. They'd organized a system of 3 campuses, et cetera, and I did strategic development and compliance for them. In the end, I went to Texas Chiropractic College as the provost. Then the presidency at Logan opened up, and they contacted me, and here I am.
Saw that you have done quite a few things at Logan, including some international activities involving Cuba. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, well, yes, I can. We're committed to broadening our footprint and chiropractic's footprint around the world. So most of like everything in life, they just kind of, it's not luck. Something opens up and you're prepared. So we ended up in a relationship at a conference on sports medicine with the leader of the Institute of Sports Medicine in Cuba, which manages all sports medicine in Cuba. Their center is where all Olympic and activities are, and they're really good at it. They have great preventative health care. They have really good training for their athletes. What do you do after the athlete leaves? Competition. There's a lot of, how does he or she shift back into life? We concurrently, through a similar type of experience, got involved in Shanghai, China, with a major figure, which is key to this, in the Communist Party in Shanghai, and a very entrepreneurial oriented guy who's built, who's taken full advantage of the opportunity to be a capitalist while he's there. We have what's called a joint venture. It's Logan University in Shanghai, Grand, and it's as an entity, it's designed to promote chiropractic in China, to train chiropractors. We work secondarily with a large university. We were just starting that as well. We had our first students coming from China. We had our first externships over to China. We started developing training programs for the chiropractors that are in China because we wanted to develop a really solid product that would really integrate well into their system. And again, COVID came and changes in relationships. We still are carrying on conversations with them, but it'll probably be another year before we go back and kind of pick up where that is. One that isn't outside the country, but in essence is international, or is that we are the home of, or the high maintenance organization, the home of U.S. para powerlifting, and so we employ the director, executive director, et cetera. They're housed here. They train all around the country. They don't really have a center, but we hold competitions here. And then we're involved in international competitions. So the athletes compete in the America Games, the Pan Am Games. They were scheduled to compete in Tokyo. And that's a great experience for students. Adaptive sports and seeing what people can overcome and what you can add is a really meaningful experience. We are the team chiropractor for the University of Missouri and for Memphis. And so we have a chiropractor on site all the time. We embrace chiropractic as it's currently practiced in the United States. So if someone in our student body, an alumnus, what have you, practice a certain way inside the scope of practice in that state, we embrace it. We don't try to judge any of them. We just give them the data, right, and the evidence, and we talk a lot about being patient-centered. And after that, it's up to them.
That sounds like the Be Epic principle from the WFC.
Yes, it's very similar to Epic, actually, which is one of the reasons that we really like to be affiliated with the WFC.
You serve as the immediate past chair within the executive committee for the Association of Chiropractic Colleges. Can you tell us a little bit about the ACC?
Really, its intent is to focus on higher education. Its intent is to focus on improving the quality of education in chiropractic colleges, right? We're the advocate for chiropractic education. We're the advocate to the national boards for constructive, transparent testing. We were a strong advocate back when the VA was just coming online. Our role isn't dominant, but we're in those. Research, we host, of course, ACC RAC, which is really the kind of the birthplace of chiropractic conventions about research. They started very small and have grown and grown. And of course, now today, chiropractic internationally is just grown so much and has such great researchers and such great research institutions that it's just a very changed landscape, but it's no longer a phenomena of, of us getting together. It's the best places this happens is with the WFC joint meeting.
You're a board member for the Spine Institute for Quality. Tell us a little bit about what that organization is.
Sure. Dr. Christine Gertz is it's her brainchild. And it's designed essentially initially as a registry. And chiropractic doesn't have registries. Most other professions do, maybe all of them do. And a registry just simply says that you agree to practice a certain way within a certain manner, and that then you're in the registry. It's way oversimplified, but and some of that initially it's just good data taking, right? Do you do a good history? Do you do a good physical? Do you do blood pressures and pulses and just some really basic things? And it was designed to allow doctors to join, and then as you collect your data, it can self-report to Spine IQ, and they can give you a grade. Now that grade is only yours; nobody else sees it, but you see how well you have aligned with the current evidence, and this your choice what you're going to do about that. But that's morphed into components of clinician education and patient education, trying to develop tools that patients can use to identify the type of chiropractor they want to see. And for the doctor of chiropractic, a bit of a one-stop shop for the current evidence. Logan's role with this is currently, we are in the very early stages of trying to develop a clinical model that is integrated and mimics Spine IQ and competes in the marketplace. Because we need to be able to show that people who function these ways do well.
You now live in St. Louis, Missouri. Tell us about practicing chiropractic in the state of Missouri.
So it's really very similar to others. It wouldn't matter if it was Illinois, Indiana, Minnesota, Iowa. Well, constructively, St. Louis is a pretty unique place. The city of St. Louis has a really interesting history, a lot of music, and a lot of activities. And if you're a sports fan, they have the Cardinals, which is a religion here. I didn't get that when I came here. But all anybody talked about, anybody talked about was the Cardinals. And I went to a game and it's just like this religious experience. So it's a big deal, the Cardinals. It's got great food. And because WashU is here, St. Louis University is here, and a number of smaller universities are here. It's a pretty heavily higher ed center. It does a lot of development in those fields. So it's pretty dynamic. Practicing here, good. In general, if you like rural small towns, there's a lot of them. There's a lot of healthcare needs here. The hospitals have closed a lot of rural hospitals. There's a dearth of healthcare in them. So there's real opportunity for chiropractors in rural Missouri. And there's opportunities in the cities that are much more oriented, I think, towards integration than they are the traditional solo.
Right. Logan has a formal relationship with the World Federation of Chiropractic. Could you tell me a little bit about that?
Sure. Well, we're I guess it's a premier sponsor. This is a fancy way of saying that we're tightly tied to them by money.
Okay.
But we think that the WFC is the future of chiropractic. The work of the WFC has been significant. We have a recent graduate, Holly Tucker, who's on the board, and she's been pretty active. EPIC is a great document, and it aligns with us. So it's something we want to embrace right away. It is the coming professional organization.
Would you offer any advice for current graduates or current students?
I would say to a student interested in chiropractic today, I would say to go to a school that is going to position you uniquely to compete in tomorrow's world, however you see that, right? You may see that in different ways. It doesn't mean a specific school, but go to one that currently has those attributes, not that talks about them. I would say to go to a place that you can get added benefit if you choose to. A number of chiropractic colleges now offer concurrent degrees, a master's degree in sports and rehab or nutrition or what have you. It's very much like dentistry. you have a master's degree in orthodontics or what have you, and it gives it a lot more gravitas, and you can actually focus on that thing. So it doesn't, there's numerous things like that you could do. I would take full advantage of the opportunities to integrate, so that when I graduated, I would look for opportunities that included an integrated setting. I can always revert back, right? I can always go back to a solo practice. It's much harder for me if I am born into a solo practice and then at a later date want to switch.
Right. Well, thank you so much for telling us all about where you've been, how you got there, where you are. I'm sure Logan very much appreciates your perspective and background.
Well, thank you very much.